want an exposure to a market, more or less?
Everything they need in one place.
The world's foremost authority on individuals, advisors and institutions. Welcome to Morningstar. Today I'm going to be looking over the macroeconomic and market performance of some of the key global economies with Jose Garcia-Zarate, a Morningstar senior analyst and economist. Jose, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
So last time we spoke was 3 months ago, and we were talking about the eurozone in particular, and you reeled off this long list of potential risks that could weigh on the economy. What's changed in those last 3 months since we spoke?
So what's changed is that those risks have actually materialized. And what we are facing now is a potential situation where the eurozone may actually fall back into recession. Germany is actually a problem now because the slowdown in emerging markets is casting a dark shadow over the export potential of the German economy, which is, the key engine of the German growth. So it's no longer just a case of peripheral economies versus core. Is actually the whole area actually suffering from global trends.
And so obviously Eurozone and UK have close trading ties, and Germany in particular.
Yes.
Is this the R word, the recession word that you've just named there, is that potentially going to start coming back into the headlines for the UK as well?
Well, there is a worry that anything that happens in the Eurozone will obviously have an impact on the UK because of the links. I mean, no economy is isolated anymore. The positive aspect, inverted commas, of the UK is its strong reliance on the domestic demand side of the equation. And that continues to do fairly well. The labour market in particular is very resilient. And the consensus is that the UK, even accounting for a potential downscale of growth expectations in the Eurozone and globally, will continue to top the growth league for this year and next.
Okay, so there's definitely some negative news around Eurozone, but it's not all doom and gloom for the UK. But if I was to push you to sort of name a key theme that you've seen in the last 3 months since we last did our economic review, is there one thing that you would highlight?
I think that we've gone from highlighting risks very specific to regions such as the Eurozone to be concerned about the global economy. We're talking about the Chinese slowdown, we're talking about the American economy doing relatively well but sending mixed signals that concern investors. So it's no longer a case of specific regions. I think we're actually talking about the global economy now.
And so what does that interdependence, that connectivity between the global economies mean for the investor? What do they need to be aware of over, let's say, the next 3 months before we next speak?
I think it's pretty obvious that growth expectations have been downgraded across the globe, and that's been reflected in the performance of the equity markets so far in October, which they have, it hasn't been that's been pretty negative actually. But amongst all this negativity, there is some reason for, let's say, hope. Because there are potential solutions out there. And it's just a question of sort of like waiting, I'm afraid, to see whether the interested parties are willing to put those solutions into place. So for example, in the case of the Eurozone, if the export component is not responding that well, obviously that needs to be substituted with something, and that's domestic demand. So we need perhaps Germany to be more flexible about stimulating consumption and domestic investments, and that's going to be what we will be looking for in the next 2-3 months to see whether that actually takes place.
Well, we'll obviously be watching that very closely over the next 3 months, and we'll talk again in January when we'll be able to look back. We'll have a better idea of what's been going on, and hopefully you'll be able to tell us that early 2015 brings some more reasons for optimism.
Well, hopefully.
Jose, thanks very much for joining me.
Thank you.
For Morningstar, I'm Holly Cook. Thanks for watching.